Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I picked this 2.8 Capri up. Now I had a 2.8 a lot of years ago and absolutely loved it. Always regretted selling it, and I've now found another one. This one needs a bit of work, but hopefully you'll join me in the journey to this being back on the road. You can watch the progress, see regular updates. See how it all turns out. So here we are under the bonnet. First things first, we need to make sure that the engine turns freely. The car's been sat obviously since 2001, so we're every chance it may be a bit nipped up, but we'll give it a try. Down in, if I just zoom in there, down the bottom here, we've got the bottom pulley. Now there's 19mm, I think it's a 19mm. There's a bottom pulley bolt down in there, which we'll put a socket on and a nice long breaker bar, so we can just give it a little bit of a tweak and make sure that the engine does turn freely. I haven't tried this yet, so you're learning this the same time as I'm learning. Fingers crossed it will turn nice and freely. Sorry about the light in here today. Right, and it does turn. That's brilliant news. Engine is turning freely, so obviously what we'll do next, I'll give it a few revolutions just to make sure that it goes all the way around without any valve to piston contact or anything like that. There's no tight spots. Drain all of the fluids out of it, and then refill with some nice fresh oil. Make sure that everything's all safe and sound, and then we can hook a battery onto it and see what we've got in the way of a spark and obviously fuel delivery. And it looks as though we've got some dashboard illumination as well. That is something I wasn't necessarily expecting, but it looks like all of the clocks light up to some extent at least. Switch the lights off for now, and we'll just see if we've got ignition. It's in neutral. No ignition lights whatsoever. But we have got a start position on the key. It does turn over. So the start motor's okay, but we have no ignition lights up here, so it's going to need a bit more investigation, and we'll see if we can get some life into it tomorrow. Right then, first things first, I'm going to take the bonnet off. It'll give me a little bit more light and obviously a bit more access around the engine, so I can get to everything I need to much more easily. And the bonnet needs a little bit of a repair along the front edge, which we'll come to in a later video. But yeah, for now I'm going to get that out of the way so I don't keep hitting my head on it. Now, because there's no ignition lights coming up when we turn the key, I'm just going to do the most simple check to start with, and that's just to make sure that the fuses are all okay. I'm just going to check continuity across all the fuses with a multimeter. Obviously the fuse box is way smaller than you'd find on any modern car, but it's the first place to start. Not really even going to need to check across them with the multimeter, because they're the exposed wire type fuse, a bullet fuse, so you can see whether they've actually blown or not. So they all look good, and we should be okay there. Right, now I just want to check for a spark on here. Obviously we know it sounds like we've got compression, we obviously need a spark and we need fuel. The spark is easy to check. I can't actually hear the fuel pump running at the moment, so we're probably going to have to get underneath the back and check that at the tank. But to start with, I've taken one of the plug leads off. I've put another spare spark plug in the end of the lead, and I've just got it there resting between two parts of the engine, where it's creating a good earth for it. So just between those contacts there, we should see a spark as I crank it over. All being well, we'll give it a go. All right, under this right-hand rear wheel arch, we've got the fuel pump, which is situated in a little cradle just next to the fuel tank there. Obviously, I don't know the history of this car. I know that it's been stood since 2001 approximately. I picked it up as a non-runner, so I didn't know what had been done, what hadn't been done, what sort of state it was in when I got it. I have found that the wires are disconnected from this fuel pump. That is obviously the reason that the fuel pump is not running to start with. Now, I'm not getting a live feed down that wire. I'm also able to provide a live feed into the other terminal on the pump, which should sort of trick the pump into thinking that it's getting the correct feeds, and then should run. It's not running with a live and an earth connected. Obviously the factory designed earth and my artificial live that I'm supplying to it. So the fuel pump is going to come out of there now and just have a look at it, see if we can fathom why it's not working. I'm not sure if they're a serviceable part or if they're just a sealed unit, and then we buy a new one, replace it and sort out the live feed to it and go from there. But I'm going to just whip this bracket off and take the pump out, disconnect everything, see if we can find out if it is serviceable or if it's sealed. So here we are, the fuel pump is now off. There is some old, you can see the colour of that probably, I don't know. There's some horrible smelling fuel in there, obviously been in there a really long while. It smells like paint stripper or something. It's horrible, really not very nice at all. But I'm just going to give this all a good clean up, see if we can find out. It's not really serviceable, so if we can just get a good live and a good earth feed into it, see if we can just get it to run sort of by non-factory methods. We'll see if it can run. If not, then I might just take it apart just out of interest to see what it's like inside, and see what the cause of the failure is. So let's have a look. I want to try to find and see if either of these end caps have a like a positive or negative symbol on them, so that we know that we're powering it up the right way round. I'll get rid of all of this debris that's built up, road dirt and everything that's collected around here over the years. I'm sure that the coloured side is going to be the live and the black being the earth, but just want to make sure. That would make sense, but not everything always makes sense. So this pump doesn't work. I've connected power to it, tried to bypass the factory power and earth feeds, it doesn't matter what I do to it, it's not working. So I've cleaned it so much that it now looks like this. Obviously this is an eBay pump. It's got pretty much the same size inlet port. It's got an outlet port that will suit it. The old pump had a banjo bolt fitting, so a bolt on pipe fitting. This has got terminals in the same place, so we can change the ends. The kit, or the pump that we purchased from eBay, comes with a fitting kit and some little rubber shrouds, so we can fit that in place of that, and then we should get a fuel supply up to the front of the engine, up to the engine bay, and then we can see how we go with getting it running and starting. We know we've got spark, we know we've got compression. Let's see what we can do. Right, so here we are underneath the right hand rear wheel arch. We've got the positioning for the fuel pump. This is the outlet for the from the fuel tank into the pump. Then the pump will sit inside this sort of rubberized foam, I suppose cradle you'd call it, and then that in turn sits in this metal cradle that is that end is sort of squeezed between the tank and the fuel tank strap. This end then comes up here and screws into a little sort of set of clips that attach to the seam of the tank. We've got our power feeds here. The brown wire is the earth, the black wire is the power feed, and then we have the pipe from the pump up to the engine bay. Now this, just here, this was the banjo bolt that was fitted to the old pump, the no longer working pump. The new pump just has an outlet, a pipe outlet, that we can put the pipe over and then just squeeze the pipe up with a Jubilee clip, and that should do the job. So we'll get this. You don't want to watch me doing this in real time, so I'll do this on a time lapse and get the pump fitted. See if that brings fuel up to the front of the car. So that's the new fuel pump on. First things first, we're going to turn the key and see if it purges the system to create fuel pressure. Now, I don't know if you heard that on the video there. It primes the fuel system, creates a pressure, so we'll get some fuel in it, and hopefully we should have some success. Now the next problem I've got may seem fairly minor. The fuel cap's stuck. Key won't turn in the fuel cap. It's been sitting since 2001, so I suppose you can't expect too much. Rather than break the cap off and risk damaging the neck, I'm going to try and just get some penetrating oil down into there. See if there's any chance of getting the barrel to move. A little bit more perseverance and the cap has come undone. I've actually got a pair of pliers around the base of the key there. Sort of risk breaking the key, but we didn't. So, and the cap is intact, the neck of the tank is intact, and I think that with a bit of freeing up and a bit of lubrication in there, I think we've still got a good fuel cap to use. So it's another small expense saved on the project. Well, it is the moment of truth. I've put 10 litres of fuel in. As I said earlier, we know we've got a spark. We know we've got compression. We've got oil in the engine. I've not got any water in it at the moment, so if we do manage to get it to run, then we won't run it for very long. We've got power in the battery. We know that the fuel pump purges. Let's turn the key and see what we've got. We'll just give it a couple of purges, just to try and bring the fuel right up to the front. I heard the note change on the fuel pump then, as though it is actually drawing fuel now. And the pump is labouring, so it is definitely putting some fuel through. Going to grab that camera there for a second. We have got a fuel leak somewhere, so obviously we're going to have to cure that before we can try starting the engine. And I believe it's going to be coming from about there, but it means that we are getting fuel at least as far as there, so in a way that's a good thing. I'll stop recording for a moment, try and rectify that fault. That hose looks pretty ropey there. There's a small plastic pipe at the back, a small rubber section going into another plastic pipe to bring it further forward. You can see there is now a puddle underneath the car and on that front section of exhaust there. So I'll see if I can sort that out. There's probably not going to be a lot of room to record in there, so I will sort that and then come back to you. Right, now I've cured that leak. To be honest, I've cured that on a temporary basis. I just want to try and see if the car will fire or run. I then found another leak, which was a loose union. Obviously I don't know the history of the car fully, so I'm sort of inheriting a few problems here and there that a previous owner has maybe tackled some jobs and left part done, part finished, and part undone, it seems. But I think we've got all of the leaks cured now, so it's time to give it a crank and see what happens. That is excellent news. It's firing and trying to run. I know that I've got some air pipes that are not connected, so it may be that it's just drawing in too much air. I can see there is another small fuel leak just down here, so we will try to address that at the same time, but bear with me a second. I'll sort those jobs out and then come back and see if we can get it to run and actually tick over a bit. Right, here we are. Hopefully then I've cured those couple of air leaks and things. I'll put a piece of pipe on here, which is a vacuum pipe, tighten this clip and this clip, which is like an air bypass system. It allows a bit more air in, just to adjust the mixture, but it seems as though it might have been letting a little bit too much air in. I had a leak from this banjo fitting here, which was just loose, so that's now tight. So fingers crossed, we'll give it another try and see if it'll actually run. Well, I think we can call that a partial success. At least we know that it runs. It's not got a rod hanging out the side or anything like that. It's obviously not firing on all 6 cylinders, and it's putting quite a lot of fuel into the exhaust that it's trying to run through a cylinder somewhere along the line. So it's going to be a case of a new set of plugs now, distributor cap, rotor arm, leads maybe, and then hopefully we'll get it firing on all of the cylinders, and then we won't be putting unburnt fuel into the exhaust and creating those backfires. Well, there we are. Thanks for watching. It's not running 100% as you can hear, but we know that it will run. A new set of plugs, new set of leads, distributor cap, rotor arm, just to eliminate those potential problems. In the next video we'll get it running properly, and we'll get it driving, and obviously stopping, quite important. We'll get the cooling system set up properly so that we can run it for longer, and yeah, then we can start to move on to some bodywork and getting it closer to being back on the road. Thanks again for watching. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. They will help with me creating more regular content on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.